Hi, everyone. Hopefully you are all a little bit more relaxed after Dominique's talk. I might or might not stress you out a little bit, so remember your box breathing here. But we are living, without a doubt, through one of the periods of fastest and more drastic change our industry has seen. How many people have been in a leadership position around the last 5 years? Okay, quite a few. So just take those 5 years as reference. We have gone from pandemic lockdowns to market booms where growth at all costs is what matters, to then a sharp refocus on efficiency with the mass layoffs and bigger constraints on how we run our teams. And now we are here right in the middle of an AI transformation that's forcing us to move faster than anything I've seen in my last 25 years in tech. There is a reason that many of us are covering different aspects of this topic here at LeadDev. As Laura was saying, boards, exec teams are asking us about our adoption plans, how much efficiencies are we gaining, and they are drawing very quick assumptions based on industry data that lacks that appropriate context about our specific business. Our engineers, as Laura also said, on the other hand, they are willing to try it, but they're also quite skeptical because it doesn't deliver on the promise that we're hearing in the kind of the news or kind of the headlines, as Laura was also mentioning. It is very easy, I don't know how you all have felt if you've been in that situation, to become quite defensive as an engineering leader when someone asks you, why are we not getting those same results that other companies are getting? Or your CFO is asking you, hey, does that mean that we'll be able to do things with 20% less engineers next year? And what are we doing about managing the change? Why are we not moving faster on this? It's cool to make progress in a quick prototype, but trying to vibe code your way around a tricky legacy code base that maybe doesn't have good testing, monitoring, etc., is not the same thing. And above all, our role is to maintain that availability, kind of the quality of the products, and make sure that our customers get what they're paying for. But things are changing, and they're changing very, very rapidly. The technology is getting better and better by the week. So I work at Personio. We build HR and payroll software for small and medium-sized businesses. And our product and engineering team is about 600 people distributed across Europe and the US. I lead our global payroll engineering teams, but I'm also responsible for strategy and operations for the product and technology organization. That is all these lovely functions and the people that do those jobs. So I'm taking care of anything from managing our budget to planning, release processes, operational excellence, developer efficiency initiatives. So as you can imagine, landing efficiencies through AI has been a big area of focus for me this past year and my team. Being exposed to all of these responsibilities over the years at different companies, I've worked from small startups, scale-ups, to big tech, I've learned that the most valuable skill that we can develop as leaders or as a company is adaptability. So that's our ability to guide fast-moving change as we adjust to new conditions. That's what gives us an advantage or simply permission to stay in the game, to be relevant as a business. In uncertain times like today, our job is to bring clarity, to create kind of that sense of control for our teams, our stakeholders, our boards, and to lead with conviction, even when the ground beneath us is really shifting. We are living in this in-between, kind of the hype is high, the promise, I believe, is real, but the path is pretty unclear, and the timelines are also pretty unclear and uncertain. And that brings a whole new layer of unpredictability on top of unpredictable markets, geopolitical unpredictability. Now our jobs are also unpredictable. And while all of this can be disruptive, it's also one of the most exciting things that I've experienced in my career. Because right now, I feel the rules of the game are completely being rewritten. The tools are changing, the workflows are evolving. I'm closer to the code that probably I've been in the past 10 years. And we as leaders have a front row seat to shape what comes next. There is a lot that we can actually control to bring that focus and clarity and opportunity to our teams. So yes, the next few days, today and tomorrow, you'll probably hear more about the technologies, the platforms, the tactics. But today I want to talk about something just as important. How do we actually land and shape this shift in our companies? To ensure full adoption across all functions, we've taken the following approach at Personio. So we want everyone to have the right tools for the job that they're doing. We are supporting them in the journey to master those tools. And we are also updating all our processes to ensure adoption is not optional. So let's walk through each one of those. In engineering, we started our journey in early 2024. At the time, we were using GitLab, so we tried Amazon Cloud Whisperer and GitLab Duo with underwhelming results. We really didn't get much out of that. We waited a few months and did a trial of Copilot. We started to get some better numbers, about 10% of self-reported time save on coding tags, and decided to make it available across the organization. Earlier this year, we did a trial of Cursor with even better results, around 50 to 20%, and decided to roll it out across the team as well. So originally, it was just going to be for engineering, but we are seeing also high usage by other functions like design. We are in the middle now. We are continuing experimenting and trying the different tools. We're doing trials of IntelliJ. We have a big Kotlin code base, so we're trying to find something that works better for that, and augment as well, Claude, and we will continue to do those experiments because we're wanting to explore what are the tools that are most suited for the different use cases that we have at work. And then at the company level, we've also rolled out to everybody at Personio Langdoc. I don't know if you're familiar, it's an AI platform that provides chat, assistants, agents, or the API with most models available and hosted in Europe. And we have Gemini as well with Google Suite. So as you can imagine, this can get out of hand pretty quickly. So how many tools should we use? Can we use anything we want? Can any engineer go and try something different? How much is all of this going to cost? So my first piece of advice, if you are working at certain scale, more than just a small team that you can control those things, is to quickly set some lightweight governance to manage this process. So start with bringing clarity to how you expect AI to be used at work so that everybody knows where you stand. We quickly set up an AI usage policy that reinforces our commitment to using AI responsibly and effectively and outlines kind of our approach and rules for using AI, the tools and services that are blessed, and how to manage data into those systems to ensure that we gain the benefits of the technology whilst managing potential risks. Then we started the year allocating budget originally just for Copilot and at the company level for Langdoc and Gemini. But a few months into the year, we decided to allocate further budget that we are using now to trial those different tools or to roll out further tools. And that was done in alignment with our message to the company that we were going all in adopting those tools. So if you send a message like that, you need the money to back up what you're asking the team to do. This is not different from managing your infra costs. So if you don't keep an eye on those things, they can get out of hand pretty quickly. So we monitor regularly kind of adoption, but also the cost. And we set limits in tools like Cursor, where you can have an overage over what you are paying on a monthly basis. So if there's valid use cases why people are spending more, we will allow for those exceptions, but you want to make sure that you have an opinion and an understanding of the budget that you want to utilize. We want our procurement, security, and legal teams involved from the very beginning. We knew that we were going to have to change the process a little bit on how quickly we assess tools and trial tools. So we didn't want it procurement or security or legal reviews to become a bottleneck on us being able to kind of trial those things very quickly. They got very quickly on board, and we set up a very lightweight framework to make sure that we were making smart decisions, but that we didn't have to go through many days or weeks to get an approval and get something up and running. We also don't enter long-term commitments on any of the tools until we're pretty sure that we are going to stick with it. So our procurement team, they've been brilliant adopting AI themselves. Things have gotten much faster as well, working with them. And they have great industry connections, so we're always checking, okay, what is the best value for us? So be intentional as well in how you manage and negotiate those contracts. And finally, whilst it's tempting to just let everybody use tools and report on them, in a large organization, we are about 600, as I said, on product and engineering, this can become very, very inefficient. So we get trial recommendations from the team, so they propose things that we should be looking into. We assess what gaps they're going to cover, and then if we feel there is enough value, we will set up a cohort of engineers or designers to trial it, give us some feedback and information, and then we'll make a decision based on that, on whether we're going to roll out it more and make it available to everybody. We expect anybody going into trialing something, it comes with a responsibility, that is, they need to report back. So whilst we're trying different things, we want to make sure that we're always learning from that experience.
I hope you're enjoying this video, but did you know Lead Dev has a lot more to offer?
When I think about Lead Dev, I think about bricks and hearts. Bricks are those foundational things that you need to know, and Lead Dev provides that through webinars, through videos, through cutting-edge research. But hearts are the things that you need to glue yourself to the people at work, and Lead Dev does that through conferences and meetups.
Make sure you check out leaddev.com.
But making tools available is really just the beginning of the journey. To accelerate adoption, but also get the benefits of those tools, we need to put a bit more work. So changing tools, as you all know, is costly. It disrupts the core workflows your teams have worked very hard to master over the years. It takes time and support to build new skills. I remember when we first rolled out Cursor to everybody, there was a group of engineers that were very happy, especially more front-end engineers that were getting a lot of value. Kind of people that had been using and master tools like IntelliJ to do their work were not happy bunnies trying to use the tool. But it's been, as things have improved, they're actually seeing now more the value in using those tools. We're also seeing a fascinating evolution of how roles and responsibilities are shifting. So engineers, for example, now have a lot more access to data and insights. Like, we are able to now collect all the data that we have about our customers from many different sources, and they have first-hand kind of view into some of that information. On the other side, we have designers that are moving more and more from Figma to real prototypes and actually starting to push code to production. And that opens a completely different kind of way of working. So how do we get ahead of that? And how do we not necessarily block things, but we need to make sure we have an aligned way on how we approach it, because ultimately we need to make sure that there's a level of quality in our kind of code in our systems. And the question that I always get asked from engineers is, are they going to go on call as well or not? And so I think those are things that as they start to change, you need to get ahead and make sure that the friction is not happening between the teams. For the different tools we support, we bring also external experts to help the team make the most of it so that we can learn as much as possible about it. We set up internal sessions to also make sure that everyone is up and running. So if anybody hasn't set up their environment, they're not trialing, we make sure we make that available. And we have office hours to make sure everybody has their environment set up. And we made those sessions available to all, so we don't put artificial boundaries between engineering, design, product, etc. And since last year, we've been taking time as well during our in-person on-sites to upskill on AI. So this is a call to action ahead of our senior product area leads on site, and the expectation was there that all engineering leaders were going to come into this on site having done some prototyping and using the tools themselves ahead of our conversation on how we were going to enable AI for the organization and make the most. Unless we are using them and are familiar with that, it's very difficult to set direction and understand what changes can bring to the organization. So as a leader, I often talk to folks in other companies as well to understand what is working or is not working for them. So getting insights about what works under a different context is super useful. And coming to a conference like this, one serves the same purpose. Kind of Laura was sharing a lot of those insights from a lot of people in the industry. And at work, many times the best way that I'm hearing engineers learning is learning from each other, one-on-one. So people in the same team showing how they're solving very specific problems to that specific code base or team. So that's working really well. And we have also many channels to share progress and encourage folks to collaborate and to also show their work. And this is very important. Showing your work is a good accountability mechanism, but also helps ignite momentum. We all might not have the imagination of what those tools can do, but actually seeing what other people are doing and trying can really ignite kind of those ideas and try new workflows that would work well. There's some really good examples from our design team. They have built tools that quickly allow you to share your prototypes and then in kind of Vercel, and then other people can actually remix that code base and try something different built on top of that. And we're getting a lot of traction from things like that. Being able to see what is happening and what novel use cases teams find is really, really making a big difference on our progress. And finally, as folks start to find what works, some of those best practices will start naturally to surface. So you should decide who needs to be responsible for managing kind of your cursor rules, for example, or the MCP server guidelines and how contributions to those things do. So maybe it's your principal engineers or your DX team or a selected group of people that are putting a little bit of governance over those things. If you have a developer experience team as well, are they proactively focusing on supporting the tools and the new workflows to ensure that there's quality in the process, but also that we are removing any new friction that is coming up? And we have the tools. We are learning how to make the most of it. So what? Many companies have shared internally and publicly where they stand on AI. So how they expect their teams to operate. So let's start with that. You can decide what that specifically look like for your company, but communicating intent is not enough. You need to adapt your operational model to change those ways of working. Start by stating your goals. Our ambition is to realistically get it to 1.5x to x of our productivity, improving our productivity. To do so, we expect full adoption across everybody, and we've identified a few use cases where we believe we can really benefit from it. But the biggest wins won't come just from coding, but from providing access to data and information, making systems more accessible, minimizing dependencies between teams. As we continue to experiment and get more proficient, we know will likely unlock more gains. I love that a lot of things can now be done within Cursor, like through MCP server, so you can connect, bring the data to where the engineer is working instead of having to switch from different tools. We had actually an engineer come out of a coding interview saying, hey, I did this coding interview, but the guy was using Cursor and AI, and he didn't know how to evaluate and assess kind of that performance. And that actually was a very quick wake-up call. It's like, okay, what do we do in that circumstance? Actually, we should do 2 interviews, one for the traditional skills to make sure they have those skills, and actually another one to see how they operate in this new environment and what's their appetite towards this new way of working that we want to push within the company. So you need to revisit that. The same for onboarding. We have spent a lot of time upskilling the team, setting clear expectations, but anybody that is joining newly won't have all that context. So it's very important that we get those people up to speed very quickly as well. And finally, as Laura was saying, without data, you're really just putting your finger up. Like, I get that a lot when people come and say, hey, I hear this company is doing 40%, they have 40% productivity gains, etc. I go and talk to their CTOs or VPs, and I say, okay, how do you measure that? And there's like, oh no, we just get a sense that we're improving by this much. And that's not good enough. Like, it has to be based on real data. So, Core 4, DORA metrics, whatever you're using together with qualitative feedback from your team is the way to go and to see how things are moving forward. It's tricky. We are going through a big architectural change that we are hoping adds as well some velocity to how we work. So sometimes it's a little bit difficult to tell, is it coming from this work that we've done here, or is it coming from the use of AI? So that's what you need, a mixture of both things as well. And obviously, you should always kind of continue to celebrate and reward those people that are really helping the organization move forward and upskilling everybody else. So to summarize, provide the right tools for the job, support your teams on mastering the tools, and set clear expectations, and follow through. It is extremely difficult to accurately predict all possible challenges that we're going to face. I think we can anticipate that the technology will continue to improve quickly, but adoption will likely get messy. We don't know what's coming for us, what happens when all this code is landing in production. And that's when the people part comes in. So this is Ethan. It's actually my son, my 15-year-old. He wants to be an artist and as a backup, a graphics designer and engineer. He is not a happy bunny when it comes to AI. He feels that his future is at risk, that what he's really passionate about is not going to be possible to be done because it's not going to be value, because everybody's going to use AI to do illustrations. And I never thought I would be in a position that I'm the one having to inspire to change and to be open-minded for a younger person, but that's where we are. But this is happening at work as well. There is a lot of people that are dealing with a lot of those feelings on cognitive load and overwhelm. How do you keep up with everything that is happening in the industry, all the tools? There's job anxiety and role confusion, and there's also new additional friction in how we work and collaborate. But there are also positives. So there's kind of motivation and skill growth. There are people that are really kind of embracing this change and that they're really excited about the opportunities ahead of us. Identify those people in your company and get them to help you kind of show what they're trying and what they're doing. And the approach, one of the approaches that has landed very well for us is how do we talk about what we're doing. We're going through this journey as a company, but also as individuals. Learning is not an option about this anymore. So take advantage of the opportunity ahead of us and go through that journey that is also going to make you more employable in the future if you embrace this together with helping the organization kind of find the way to do things. So to close up, this is my advice. Be intentional, so don't leave it to chance because it will get very, very messy very quickly. And be very open-minded about what is coming. Like, don't be too precious about anything because I think everything is up for grabs and potentially can be disrupted on the way we do things today with AI. The approach that I'm taking, focus on what you can control, be open to learn, be open to change, because there's a lot of change coming ahead of us. Experiment and experience it for yourself. Don't sit back, just get your hands dirty, see what those tools and what that technology can do. Track the learnings and the progress that you're making and share what you learn, because we are all on this journey together. Thank you very much.